My name's John Jacobs, and this is my wife, Janet. We've been married for 17 years this May. And then this August, we will have been here at Antioch for 12.
For 12 years, okay.
For 12 years. Started out, we actually met each other in high school back in a small town in Missouri, a physics class actually. I was a senior and she was a junior, and a couple of tests into the class and stuff like this, realized that she was a very, very good studier, book learner, break the curve type of person. And me and a couple others started real quick to stop that, if at all possible. So we had to explain to her to slow down.
Yeah, you're hurting us here, right?
Yeah.
You're hurting us.
So, but that's where we first met, and then my dad died when I was 10, so it was just my mother raising us, and we had enough to get by, and we always had what we needed, but obviously nothing, luxurious or anything like that. So there was a lot of, in fact, when my dad died, my mom didn't know how to do the finances, didn't know how to do anything, so she had a couple that took her in and explained things to her and stuff like that. So I could see, and we were told, that we definitely had someone watching over us a lot. So, and at that point in time, we were going to Methodist church, but I don't know if it was just that church or maybe it's Methodist all the time, but we were very active in the Sunday school part, in the kids stuff. When we became teenagers, then we kind of helped with the nursery and stuff. Never actually really did the church part of it, and the studying and the in-depth, deep thinking of the Bible and all this. I mean, we knew all the stories, Moses, Abraham, all that stuff, but nothing like what I encountered here. And about a year after I graduated, then I went in the military. We started dating about 3 months before I got shipped to the military. And she went to college, and about halfway through, 3 or 4 years into it, then we got married. And then she went up, finished her degree up there, and we finished out my term in service. From there, decided to pursue her degree so she could get a master's. So we went to Hattiesburg, Mississippi for a year. And then after that was done, they had an opening for me here in Nashville. Wondered if I'd come up here and move here. Well, the tie to Antioch is one of Janet's best friends, Sandra Johnson. They lived on the same gravel road together in the small little town in Missouri.
Okay, so Janet and Sandra were neighbors on this small gravel road in Missouri. Okay.
So when we knew we were coming up here and had to start looking, she immediately called Sandra, and they let us stay at their house. I think Nora
had just been born.
Yeah, a month or two old, maybe.
A month or two old. And they left her with Tommy's parents so that they could go apartment hunting with us.
Wow. No, let's see, that would be when? 2000?
97.
97, okay.
In fact, we came
the end of July.
That weekend when we were apartment hunting. They brought us here to show us the church. And that was the only time we met Walt. The one time he was here. And then after that, he left.
So y'all are the reason he left?
Probably, yeah. Okay. So when everybody was all up in uproar about switching preachers, we're like, I don't really see a difference. I don't know why everybody's so upset.
You didn't know? Okay, sure.
So, but one of the things, whenever I went in the military, I pretty much stopped going to church. And one of the things we wanted to do, we were married, and we were married by the Methodist minister at my church.
I grew up Church of Christ.
Yes, she grew up Church of Christ, but we got married at the Methodist church. And one of the things that he told us before we got married, because he obviously knew her background and knew my background, so he said, it's going to be a whole lot easier for a Methodist to go to Church of Christ than a Church of Christ to go to Methodist. And I knew a bunch of different, stuff, because the Church of Christ there was very conservative, and there was, you hear all the stuff that is, I guess, the same stereotypes that are portrayed. So I was, well, okay, I mean, but I loved her, and I didn't really care. I said, well, we'll deal with that when we get that far. Well, one of the things she really wanted to do is find a church and be solid in our faith before we had our first child. So when we came here, then we started, she liked it obviously because she knew some people here. We started looking around and we asked questions, because I had questions. The whole Church of Christ was, everything I knew was all stereotypical, everything. So I'm like, I've got questions, I've got all this. So Sandra immediately introduced us to Weldon. And Weldon, in his nice, happy attitude and do anything for you, immediately decided, okay, well, we'll study for 6 weeks. And he told me that he came from a Methodist background too, so he had a lot of the same questions and stuff when he first went through this too.
He knew how to answer them, because I didn't understand, some of the terminology he would use. I'm going, I don't know what that is. We have this. And he'd say, well, what do they do? And I said, well, I can tell you what I know they do. And, and he'd go, well, how does that relate to this? I don't know.
So
Weldon could do that.
Weldon was good, and he explained things in such a way that, it definitely made me rethink not only not really what I believe, because it went in line with what I believe, but it rethought the stereotypes that I knew, all the stuff that I was already familiar with from one way or the other, and it just kind of broke down the barriers. For instance, I remember one of the things he was saying about a cappella singing. And he said the reason why we do it is because we choose to do it. He said there's nothing, nowhere in it can't be, we can't turn you to a book, page, chapter, verse, all this stuff, but it's our choice. We just choose to do it that way. And I'm like, okay, I can buy that. I don't mind. And then he started showing these videos that apparently are very familiar with Church of Christ. Some series of, I don't know who it is, somebody made some videos. So we started doing that. And see, in the Methodist Church, we were baptized as a family. So my brother, who was like 2 months old, I was 11, my other brother was 10, my mom we all were baptized at the same time, but it was with sprinkling. So I honestly thought, well, I'm baptized, I don't necessarily need. And that was one of my questions, like, do you have to get baptized again to switch churches? I mean, I don't understand. And that was one of the things that the video, when it started explaining it and the symbolism and the background, is when I first started thinking, okay, wait a minute, everything that I've known up to this part may not be right or may not be fully right. And then that's when I started realizing, okay, wait a minute, I need to do this the right way, because I don't think I did it right the first time. So I guess officially, at least the way I interpret it, I guess I would have become a Christian that fall of '97, and we were both baptized together here by Weldon. So, and then from then on, just it amazed me how much everybody knew here about the Bible and about each other. I swore the whole church was related. It was just amazing. I was like, how can that be? But how everybody was just so vibrant to want to talk about it and learn it and study it and all this stuff. And that was the part of church that I never had and never experienced. And it made me, and I told her this several times, it made me feel like, man, I'm like 20 years behind everybody else. Everybody else has been doing this all their life, and I am trying to catch up, it seems like.